This conference will now be recorded.
I welcome officiating Vice Chancellor Professor Raghuveer Singh ji. Sir, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, sir. And I welcome all the participants to joining. So in the meanwhile, we are just going to start the session very soon. Just giving a little space to the participants to be added. I also welcome to our respected director, Professor R.K. Dwivedi, sir. Welcome you, sir, here, and delighted that you have joined us.
Thank you, Dr. Goswami.
हाँ मुझे नहीं मुझे 5 मिनट दीजिए अगर तो
I, Ashia Sthana, the Chief Executive Officer of Softpro Group, on behalf of the entire team, Softpro welcomes the Vice Chancellor Sir from GMU, Dr. Rakesh Dwivedi Sir, Dr. Pankaj Goswami, and all the participants and attendees in the webinar.
Dr. Goswami, Honorable Vice Chancellor has joined, I think. So it would be better because his schedule is a little bit busy. So if you call him for his opening remarks, so that would be better.
Exactly, sir. Exactly, sir. Really, we are highly delighted that he has joined us so early and within a period of time. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. So soon I'm just going to start about him. So well, I'm highly thankful first of all to the officiating Vice Chancellor Professor Raghuveer Singh ji to just providing us a space to conduct such kind of an activity. Professor Raghuveer Singh ji, having a 25 years of teaching and administrative experience of various universities, department, autonomous management institutes, he has become as a director and HOD of the like Manipal, BITS, Plani, Modi, Lakshmankar, BIT in so many well-reputed institutions. He has conducted numerous MDPs and FDPs programs here. He has been involved himself in the prefer to focus the 360-degree approach to institutional management. His process and system-driven approach to strategy execution assures desired results. He designs seamless approaches that aligns vision with the long-term strategic goals and executions. His basically that right now people are working on the KRAs and KPIs. It's definitely so perfect to keep on improving the performance of actually the institute and the organization. He is just dealing all the care of the NATS and MBA programs within the university. So I request you, sir, so please just give us blessings with your word of wisdom.
Thank you so much. You've spoken so much about me. I'm a very simple guy. I'm just trying to help you out to achieve your objectives and the university's objectives. That is what the seamless linkage is we are trying to establish. Thank you. Let me on the outset actually congratulate the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, the Faculty of Engineering and Computer Sciences, for having organized this very important topic for the 2 days webinar, and kind of people you have rubbed in from the industry. It's really praiseworthy. I'm sure all participants would really end up having a lot of knowledge and experience about what is IoT is all about. As a management person, I don't know much about technology of the IoT, but I definitely know where I can apply it. That is what is my interest would be, to know where management function could be applied, and that's of a very high interest to me. The topic which you've selected, industrial attributes. Hello, was I muted earlier?
Yeah, earlier we were not able to hear you, sir, but now we are able to hear you, and as well as we are able to see you.
Okay.
Sir, actually there was certain technical issue, so that by mistaken the mic was on mute.
Okay,
Now
so I was speaking to myself, so that's fair enough, not an issue. Okay. Well, thank you so much for accepting me and giving me a chance to speak to you all. On the outset, I would like to congratulate the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering under the Faculty of Engineering and Computer Sciences and the leadership of Dr. Dwivedi. Since we started, thinking about keep our show going on, the engineering faculty has been on the forefront. A lot of webinars, day in and day out, you are all organizing for keeping updated with what's going on in the industry, and also keeping our students updated about the industrial advances which we have been making. The topic selected is industrial attributes and role of IoT. Very relevant in today's time. Have lots of people on the shop floor, so IoT would reduce a lot of that in that particular shop floor and keep the show going on. As I understand the IoT as a manager, I'm more interested in application of IoT rather than development of IoT devices. However, Gartner predicted that by 2020, the world would have about 20 billion IoT devices. That's mind-boggling. And that's the start of the new technology. And you can think of the future, the applications of IoT almost in every walk of sphere it would happen. The way, the communication technology has been revolutionized. We could see the similar revolution in the IoT technology also in the future. Some of the applications which come to my mind immediately of IoT are in management function. One is, of course, in manufacturing, very, very important. And another one could be in HR and marketing. All of these functional areas of management would have a lot of scope for IoT technology for improving their efficiency, as well as bringing a lot of quality in their output. as far as I understand, there are three important components of IoT. One is data generation. Number two is sensors. And number three is artificial intelligence and machine learning to help bring corrections in, desired errors. That is how I sum up what IoT devices could do all about. So when I look at manufacturing, the four important aspects which I could see where IoT can have a great intervention. The first one is in improving quality. Second one is your warehousing. Third one is an inventory. And of course, fourth one is basically trying to, assess the entire production line to find out what's going on, whether it's going on the way it is supposed to. So you first, as well as I understand it, you first develop a product digitally, that becomes your base of the output. So, and then retrofit your sensors across the entire production line and try to see the difference between your digitally produced product and the actual, and then make necessary corrections, which would help us to reduce costs. It will reduce reworks. It will increase or enhance your quality, and of course reduce manpower. That overall results into giving much lesser cost to the production and bringing your or helping you to be far more competitive. Another area in HR which I could foresee today is in performance management of employees. Organizations like this Mumbai port, if you remember it, this is that group. It is a very important group, which I just forgot to name it. These people have used IoT devices in improving real-time performance of their drivers because Mumbai being a port runs huge number of trucks around. So these devices are fitted to real-time measure whether the driver is overshooting speed, whether he or she is taking a sharp turn or not. So they keep generating real-time data on those drivers and make immediate corrections, hence reduce accidents and safety of your products, safety of the man, etc., etc. And that has been helping them to assess the performance of their drivers. So similarly, we can look at a lot of other areas where IoT in the future would play a major role. With these words, I wish every one of you all the success, and I'm sure by the end of the workshop you will learn quite a lot and help us also to organize such workshops much more for disseminating knowledge as well as your experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very kind words. We are really blessed to hear from you today. So, on behalf of SoftPro, I would like to welcome the officiating Vice Chancellor, Professor Raghuveer Singh, for his kind words. Also, Professor R.K. Dwivedi, the Director and Principal of Faculty of Engineering and Computer Sciences, TMU Moradabad. The Chief Guest who is with us, Mr. Vinay Agarwal, Senior Smart Consultant, Software India, Mr. Prithvish Sen, Senior Technical Instructor at Aspire Vision, Convener of the event, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Goswami, sir, Associate Professor, Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, TMU Moradabad, Head of the Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, Dr. Mudita Juneja, the Chief Executive Officer of Software India, Mr. Yashi Asthana, all the coordinators and organizing committee of the Tirthankar Mahavir University, Moradabad, all the very respected faculty members who have joined us today from different colleges, and all our dear students. I, Anirudh Srivastav, the Operations Manager of Software India, wish you all a very good morning and welcome you on today's webinar on industrial attributes and role of Internet of Things during COVID-19. As the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Raghuveer Singh has already told you about IoT and its aspects very nicely, I feel honored to tell you that I am welcoming such dignitaries as audience, and it's a pleasure always for the speaker when the audience is comprised of such knowledgeable crowd. So before we start with the technical session, I would like to very quickly brief you about the organization which has brought you in front of today, the webinar, that is Softflow Group. So very quickly, I will brief you about Softflow Group. So basically, Software Group of Companies was founded by technocrats from IIT Kanpur and IIT Lucknow 16 years ago. The vision, the motto of Software Group was bridging the technology gap. As we all know, there is of course a gap between a student and a professional. So here at Software, we make sure that we make a student go through the changes, the processes that are required to begin their journey into their professional lives. Software Group has presence all over the globe. We have two offices, one being a headquarter in Lucknow, that is Software Tower and Software House. We have a virtual office that operates from Malaysia. We have a new established office in Malawi, Africa. And we are planning to grow more and have a presence all over the globe. This is our infographic. Software India Computer Technologies was established in 2004, which was a software development division of Software. In 2008, Software Learning Center was established. In 2014, we came with the R&D division, that is Software Innovations. In 2018, Software Foods, that is the agro production division, was established. And in 2020, when the world needed us the most, we came up with Polyprep, that is the e-learning platform by Softpro. Talking about the person behind Softpro's success, here is Engineer Ajay Chaudhary, sir, who is a founding member and director of Software Group. He is also the member of the Academic Council of IIT Lucknow, the member of the governing body of IIT Lucknow, also the Board of Technical Education Lucknow, and the BOS of Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia Abad University, Ayodhya. He is also the ex-member of the Executive Council of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. Sir Ajay Chaudhary completed his BTech, gained 25 years of industry experience, and worked in several countries. After gaining this experience, he came back to Lucknow with a will to give the people of Lucknow what they did not have. He wanted to give the people of Lucknow what they deserved. And this will and determination of Sir Ajay Chaudhary gave birth to the idea that we know today as Software Group. We are also happy to welcome the Honorable Vice Chancellor Shri V.K. Pathak Sarji as an advisory board member of the Software Group of Companies on honorary basis. Also, Software was recognized by the Board of Technical Education. We were given the Vishesh Pratibha Samman Award for our excellence in the field of education and placements all over the state. This is a picture of Ms. Yashi Sana, the CEO of Software Group, with Professor Anil Sahasbuddhi, who is the chairman of AICTE. As I told you, Sir Ajay Chaudhary is a member of the Academic Council of IIT Lucknow. Here's a picture of Sir Ajay Chaudhary with S.K. Palivasa, the director of IIT Lucknow. Ajay Chaudhary, sir, is also the member of the Board of Studies of IIT Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia Abad University, Ayodhya. Also, Softpro has signed an MOU with the Center of Advanced Studies of AKTU to provide summer internship online to all the branches of all the AKTU colleges. Also, here is Srimati Kamalani Varun, the Technical Education Minister of Government of Uttar Pradesh. We also have an MOU with REC Banda. And here is a picture of Sir with Sir S.P. Shukla, the Director of REC Banda. Also, we have Industry Academy Association with Manoj Kumar, the Director of DTE Kanpur. We also have an MOU with KNIT. And here you can see Shri J.P. Pandey, the Director, KNIT Sultanpur. Not only this, we also are known for strong corporate interface. Here you can see the Padma Shri awardee Dr. Mahin Bhandari, sir, who is also the advisory board member of Software Group. Our services We work for ERP development, mobile application development, customized applications for MNCs, and also web applications. The leadership team behind Softflow's success comprises of Mr. Yashish Asthana, the CEO of Softflow Group, Engineer Brijesh Mishra, the Senior Consultant, also Mr. Rohit Kumar, the Chief Technical Officer of Softflow Group. Not only this, we have a team of experts who provide us with everything that we are today. Not only technical experts, we have consultants on every domain due to which we are stronger than ever. And we aim to and achieve to provide the students what they need the most. I told you about the Vishesh Pratibha Samman Award that was given to us by the Board of Technical Education, Government of Uttar Pradesh, for our excellence in the field of education and placements all over the state. These are our training programs. We provide summer training for 45 days for the students of BTech, vocational training, industrial training, and a lot more. Also, we are known for Industry Academy of Interaction programs. That means every year we deliver seminars and workshops in more than 200 colleges of the state. Telling you about PolyPrep. PolyPrep is what Softflow came up with last month. That means when the students needed the most, we gave them what they wanted. We gave them the need of the hour. We made an learning management system for online learning for all the students. PolyPrep is not only a live class, it is a one-point solution, a learning management system for the students, where the students get course contents, live sessions, self-assessment tools like quizzes and assignments, video tutorials, and a lot more. At present, 3,000 students of all over the state are using PolyPrep for their learning and making their time productive. Also, our online summer training has been commenced, and students from all over the country are doing summer training through PolyPrep. PolyPrep also has an online application which provides all the features of the LMS. These are the products of PolyPrep. We offer corporate learning solution, academic preparation tool, and digital campus system as well. So this is a very brief introduction of Softflow Group and how we have brought you today's webinar on industrial attributes and role of IoT during COVID-19. Without much ado now, I would request the Chief Executive Officer of Softflow India to please address us.
Very good morning to all the dignitaries present in this webinar, the Director of TMU, the Faculty of Engineering Department, Dr. Rakesh Dwivedi sir. A heartful welcome to you in this webinar. I would also like to welcome the Honorable Vice Chancellor of TMU, Raghuveer sir, Professor Raghuveer sir, and the convener of this webinar, Dr. Pankaj Goswami sir, and all the faculty members and the coordinators, the organizers, all the people who are the part of this webinar. I also welcome all the participants and the dear students who have registered for this webinar on industrial attributes and the role of IoT post-COVID-19. I really feel honored and privileged that today we have got a platform through which we are now have been associated with one of the universities of Munadabad, Tirthankar Mahavir University, and we are organizing a webinar, a 2-day webinar on IoT, the most trending technology of the day, and also yes, the technology for tomorrow. Since the era of data technology has arrived, and that is the reason why the most prominent technologies like machine learning, like IoT, like artificial intelligence are now booming into the market. So I think today there is a demand of these technologies, and students and faculties and everybody should be much aware of these trending trends and the technologies. So that is the reason why we have come up in association with TMU with this webinar. Softflow has always been into innovations. We have always been coming up with some or the other new technologies, some of the other new programs. Like 3 years back when Python was on boom, and right now also definitely Python is on boom. So we signed up with AKTU, and a circular has been passed through under which Softflow team has given training to all the AKTU colleges on Python technology, which was being offered by AKTU in association with Softflow. And today also, when there is a pandemic, when there is a chaos, when there is a situation of this epidemic, Softflow has come up with online platform with an online solution to all the students and faculty so that we can give them something new and something innovative. And yes, we can use the online platforms. I think I should say thanks to Anirudh also for such a lovely introduction he has given for Softflow Group. I also welcome and also would like to say thanks to our director, Engineer Ajay Chaudhary, who has given us this lovely platform and has given us so much, a free hand so that we can organize such an activities with in association with the colleges. Once again, I would like to welcome and say thanks to Professor Raghuveer Singh, Honorable Vice Chancellor of TMU, Dr. Rakesh Dwivedi sir, all the convener, Pankaj Goswami sir, and all the participants to join this webinar and be a part of it. SoftPro, at the end of this session, we will also be organizing a QA session through which we can definitely through which the problems and also all the queries which are arising in the mind of the participants will be solved. Today, I would also like to welcome today's the speaker, Mr. Prithvesh, to start the session today on artificial intelligence, and tomorrow the consultant and the speaker from SoftPro, Mr. Vinay Agarwal, will be joining us for the session on IoT. So thank you on behalf of the entire team SoftPro. Thanks, Anirudh.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words. Without much ado now, I would now like to hand over to the respected convener of the event, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Goswami, to please take over.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anirudh. I'm really highly thankful to the Administration Authority of the Tirthankar Mahavir University, Moradabad, our associated partner, SoftPro India Private Limited, for these two-day webinars of industrial attributes and role of IoTs during COVID-19. In fact, Internet of Things have definitely have a great applicability in the domains of consumer IoTs, commercial IoTs, industrial Internet of Things, infrastructure IoTs, Internet of Military of Things. During the pandemic, for strategic safe, it is definitely a key mantra to stay safe. For this, many attributes are applicable. Among all, avoidance of the physical contact is one of the key factor. So like that, now we are just talking about the IoTs, and it's definitely having examples of having a number of things at a common place, and it is just being said to you when it is used by the common peoples not to touch it properly. So using such kind of a technology, specifically IoT is using things connected with your mobile phone, and you're not touching anything like light, fence, doors, your car doors, even like somewhat the bells are there, and just operating with your prominent in hand your device, mobile phone, smart devices are there. It's a wonderful idea. So not taking much of time now, I would like to invite our respected and beloved director, Professor R.K. Dwivedi sir. Because of his enthusiasm, we are here on this platform. He has a large number of the research publications in the peer-reviewed journal, number of patents, projects, and he always very much keen to put himself into the such kind of a creative activity. We always find that whenever we just see him, we find definitely great enthusiasm from his face, and he always just think that he's just having some insight in, and that is just going to create something. So not taking much time, sir, I'm just welcoming you all. Please, sir, please join us and just bless us with your words.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj. All my worthy colleagues of TMU, Professor Raghuveer Singh sir, officiating Vice Chancellor, and colleagues from SoftPro India Private Limited, Mr. Vinay Agrawal ji, I hope he is going to deliver his talk, I don't know, either by today or by tomorrow, and Madam Asthana and other people. The basic objective to organize this webinar, as sir has listed out that that SoftPro is having many collaborations. So once I interacted with Madam Asthana, and she has narrated the contribution of SoftPro in academic era, in academic institutions of Uttar Pradesh. So I connected Dr. Pankaj with ma'am, and then this topic has been finalized, that industrial attributes and role of IoT during COVID-19. Friends, in fact, Prime Minister of India has narrated about IoT in one of his address, that IT plus IoT equal to IT. That question, let me elaborate this: information technology plus Internet of Things. Basically, that is defining India tomorrow. So what basically IoT is? All right, and how it works, and how it works after COVID. Hmm? And this is basically the major area of discussion for today's webinar. Friends, IoT is basically, in fact, many of us are knowing that network of physical objects, जिसको हम things के रूप में जानते हैं, are embedded with electronics, softwares, sensors, and network connectivity, which enables these objects to collect and exchange data. Am I right? And IoT, future of IoT is pretty much bright, because after COVID, people need a control mechanism from remote. All right, so we are, in fact, still we are creating such kind of network infrastructure where we can handle the things remotely. All right, so in upcoming time we are trying to create an opportunities for more direct integration between the physical world and the computer based system, and resulting in the improved efficiency, accuracy, and which could be economically viable as well. So friends, IoT basically is very much useful in the monitoring, heart monitoring, implants, biochips, transponders on farm animals, electric what I can say, electric clamps in coastal waters, automobiles with built-in sensors, many other in medical DNA analysis devices for environmental, food, pathogen monitoring, or field operations device, basically that assist the firefighters in search of rescue operations. So many more application areas. In fact, if I talk about the historical development of IoT, this becomes popular after 1999, and RFID, perhaps all electronics and computer science people are the. So radio frequency identification was seen as a prerequisite for the IoT, or not only RFID or other kind of devices. If all the objects and people in daily life were equipped with identifiers, computers could manage and what I can say, inventory them. Am I right? So tagging of the things may be achieved through RFID technology, or some other technology like near field communication, barcodes, nowadays QR codes, and Bluetooth and digital watermarking could be the mechanism of tagging. All right, so my dear good friends, IoT is not basically single novel technology. It is a what I can say, it is a several complementary technical developments which provides the capabilities that are taken together to bridge the gap between the virtual and physical world. Am I right? Perhaps you have got my point. IoT, you can see that as a bridge who is filling the gap between the virtual world and the physical world, and that's why in this after COVID we can see the major areas of IoT. And IoT capabilities includes communication and cooperation, addressability, identification, sensing, and if we talk about electronics, then actualization, embedded information processing, localization, and user interfaces. These could be the major area, and for this RFID or other sensing, other tagging technology for identification of the things. And then we need a sensor technology to collect and process the data, to detect the change in the physical status of the things. And then we need smart technology. This is also one of the areas, smart technology, which basically enhances the power of the network by developing a processes, not only processing, in fact processing capability as well, to different part of the network. So and later on nanotechnology. So nanotechnology, why this is entering onto the IoT? Because to make the smaller and smaller things have the ability to connect and interact. So in general, if I talk about the structure of upcoming IoT after COVID, uh, tagging things we need for real-time traceability, and that could be done by RFID or other technology which I stated. Then feeling, tagging, then feeling कैसे होगा? जब सेंसर काम करेंगे. All right, sensor act as a primary device to collect data from the environment, and then shrinking things, in shrinking basically miniaturization and nanotechnology has provoked the ability of smaller things to interact and connect with the smart devices. Am I right? So smart technology will come as a third layer, and at last computer science is going to play a major role, that is thinking things, embedded intelligence in the devices. In fact, not only software intelligence, as of now many hardware devices are coming, they are having their inbuilt intelligence in inside of the device. All right, if we talk more about electronics development, that is not the basically part of today's development. So friends, last at fourth layer, thinking things will come, where computer science and engineering background people are having a major stack on this. So where basically through sensor has formed the network connections to the internet, and it can make the things realizing the intelligent control. As Dr. Raghuveer Singh sir, who is the Vice Chancellor of Tirthankar Mahavir University, has given some data. I'm telling you the truth data. As of now, you can see the world population. कितनी है world population? 760 करोड़ के आसपास है, ऐसा माना जाता है, मतलब जो statistical figure है. 7.6 billion. This comes as 760 crores. And in by 2020 itself, मैं आपको बताऊं कि अभी जो एस्टिमेशन चल रहा है कि तकरीबन 50 बिलियन, मतलब 5,000 करोड़ 5,000 करोड़ डिवाइसेस जो हैं वो RFID के थ्रू टैग्ड होंगी, एंड दे विल परफॉर्म अ वेरियस काइंड्स ऑफ ऑपरेशन. एम आई राइट? तो friends, what I can say, change is the only thing permanent in this world, and we are facing this changing world. And IoT you can see as a networks of networks. So these networks connected with the added security, added analytics, and management capabilities. Friends, this will allow after COVID, this will allow IoT to become even more powerful in what it can help people to achieve many things. And if I talk about when what happens basically when 50 billion machines become connected, आप खुद भी सोचिए कि अगर 50 बिलियन मशीन एक दूसरे को इंटरैक्ट करेंगी वर्चुअल वर्ल्ड में. So for this, how world will move and what would be the major impact? So if I talk about the potential part is basically the major. If I talk about the areas, so aviation is one area where IoT will play a major role. Power is one. I mean, if I talk about the electrical side, so power is one. one segment where IoT will play. Healthcare is one domain. Rail network, oil and gas. These are the segments where basically machines are getting more connectivity, and this IoT based technology is going to play a vital role. So my good friends, IoT is going to increase undoubtedly, because all things we are going to handle remotely. And however, the advantage part, if I talk about, if we have the improved performance, reduced cost, we may have a very creative and innovative services we may get. All right. And perhaps this opens a new era of revenue generation as well. So I hope that IoT will certainly help the human life. And if I talk about the application areas, as I discussed, aviation and power sector and others. Other than these, some like building and home automation, this is already going on under progress. However, this will increase by multifold. Many sensor based things will work. Manufacturing is one area, medical and healthcare, media domain, all virtualization will come. Environmental monitoring, infrastructure management, energy management, transportation, and better quality of life for elderly. This is also the one area where IoT is going to play a major role. However, if I'm not going to touch much because other speakers and technical people will share more insight of IoT. However, there is one area that thought controlled computing. IoT, this is one of the new emerging area and application area of the IoT, thought controlled computing. This will perhaps IoT is going to play a major role in this. So those who are the budding researchers, they have to work on thought controlled computing. And however, IoT is also having some kind of technological challenges also, especially if I talk about India. So in Indian context, scalability is a major problem, because scalability is a major concern. Our IT infrastructure is not having that kind of robustness. Our Wi-Fi enabled systems, we do not have the that kind of Wi-Fi system as US have. In US, every part of the country, they are 100% connected with internet with high speed bandwidth. So technological standardization we do not have. Interoperability issues we have. Software complexity also, that is one. Data volumes and their interpretations. Major problem, power supply. In fact, we do not have a stable power supply. Am I right? So friends, we do not have that fault tolerance, wireless communication. These are some technological challenge we have after COVID, but definitely we have to find out the ways and means to automate the things, because if such kind of pandemic will happen, so human survival of the fittest theory, human has to find out the new ways and means. Criticism of IoT is also, there is one point which I would like to discuss, that after the inception of IoT, in fact, privacy is one part which perhaps we have to think. Autonomy and control. How much autonomy and control we have to give? Social control, then environmental impact, and influences on human moral decision making. So these are the some of the what I can say, criticism. We have to think as a scholar and social observers. We have to think on these lines, that computing revolution undoubtedly it is going to take place. However, these things has to be taken care. So I think I shared my views. This is all about from my side. I don't want to go in much technical domain because we have many technical speakers. So, Dr. Pankaj, this is all from my side. Best wishes to the organizers. Many thanks to Dr. Mudita, Dr. Pankaj, and other organizing team, and a special thanks to the members of SoftPro. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much, sir. Actually, yes, sir, really you seeded out about the IoT here. Now the plant is just going to be wrecked over. But you have just definitely given a lot of ideas about what exactly the utilities of the IoT in the today's world and what attributes we are going to have in during this pandemic situation and what will be the future. You have covered every area, sir, in every aspect. We are highly thankful for you to just give a precious time to us, in spite of having your number of schedules today, having number of webinars as chief guest. So I'm extremely thankful for you since paying this time to us. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
So now I would like to invite Mr. Prithvish Sen, who is basically the today's key speaker of today's session. Mr. Prithvish Sen is basically Amtech from the Triple IT, and definitely he is a developer and researcher in the field of the IoTs with machine learning and working as a senior technical instructor at the Aspire Vision. His current research area of the interest includes IoT, embedded system, ML, AI, CV, and Android. I would like to say that just being so young, he is definitely just captured all the skill in his hand, what exactly in a demand right now globally. So he's just dealing with a lot of educational processings in the different institutes and the organization, and just guiding number of the student researchers regarding to the training related with the IoTs, machine learning, and so many things. Yeah. So this is definitely not my platform, and so many things are there about the Prithvi sir. But sir, I would like to welcome you here. So please, I welcome you. Please join the session and please let us to get benefit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So today I'm here to present a talk on artificial intelligence. Let me share my screen. So at first, I'd like to say good morning to everyone. So myself, Prithvi Sen, working as a senior technical instructor in Aspire Vision. So at first, I would like to put some light on the meaning of artificial intelligence, I mean informally. In computer science, artificial intelligence is sometimes referred as the machine intelligence. It can also be said the intelligence of the dumb machine in contrast to human intelligence. So the goals of AI, whether it can be interpreted as the traditional problems of AI, includes knowledge representation, natural language processing, then we have perception, then reasoning. Also, according to the Coursera founder, the Andrews Ng, it has been seen that the rise of AI has fully driven by only one tool called machine learning. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're absolutely audible. Definitely audible and
Okay, fine.
visible too.
Yeah, Mr. Prithvish, you are audible.
So let's go ahead and see something more. So the most commonly used type of machine learning is we have this input to output mapping, also known as supervised learning, that we know. So let's see what this input to output mapping in AI. Let's take an example. Say we have lots of emails and the AI's job is to filter out those emails in terms of whether those emails are spam or not. It can be determined by an application, AI application called spam filtering. So let's see suppose we have lots of emails. So we want to filter out all those emails based on the whether it is a spam or not. We can use a classifier which will classify into two classes. One is inbox class and one is spam folder. Then it will classify accordingly and like separate all those spam emails accordingly. So let's see one more example. We have, say, we have the input is audio signals or audio voices, and we want to, and the AI's job is to test transcript. Then the corresponding application is speech recognition. Now, if we have the input is, say, image, radar, and info, like any sort of information regarding the position of cars, and the AI finds out the position of the cars, then the corresponding application is AI application is self-driving car. Now, we have seen that although the supervised learning has been around for many decades, but it has really taken off in the last few years. So why is it so? Why is it like this? So let's analyze it with respect to some performance and amount of data. So we have seen the amount of data that that had really grown over the past few decades thanks to the rise of internet and rise of computers. So if we consider the amount of data to be speech recognition, suppose we are building a speech recognition algorithm or like that. So we have the input is the amount of audio data and the output is the corresponding text transcript. So what will be the performance or what will be the accuracy of the like whole system? According to the traditional AI, it is seen that with the increase in the amount of data, the performance gets quite saturated at a certain time. Or you can see the the curve got flattened up at a certain time. But it has been seen that using modern artificial intelligence with neural network and deep learning, the curve shows greater accuracy or greater performance with least amount of data. So artificial intelligence has really taken off because of the rise of deep learning and neural network. So let's see what AI can do and cannot do. Let's say we are building a self-driving car. Here's something that AI can pretty do well, like is just take a picture of what is in front of his car and maybe just using a camera or other senses as well. Example, there are radar, lidar, any ultrasonic sound sensor, anything. So we have, say, this A to B input mapping, and then the figure, and we figure out basically the system figure out what is the position of the car and or where are other cars. So this would be a AI where input is a picture of what is in front of your car, or maybe output the output of this radar or other sensors, and the output B is the position of other cars. And today's self-driving car industry has collected enough data and has pretty good algorithms. So this they are doing reasonably well in this field or in this domain. Like I have example, say we have Tesla Motors. They are making self-driving cars, and in that field they have done really like good job. So we have, say we have another example what AI cannot do. Let's say like in this like particular period of time, it is very difficult for today's AI to determine whether some gestures are some similar. There are certain gestures that is not possible for a AI to determine all those things. Let's say we have an input picture and the output is the intention. So whatever human is trying to gesture at you is to be determined by the AI application. So let's see, here is a construction worker holding on the hand asking the car to stop, or someone over there trying to wave a car, or someone over there like a bicyclist basically raising the left hand to indicate that she wants to turn left. And so if you were to build a system to learn A to B input mapping, input output mapping, where the input A is the short video about human gesturing at your car, and output B is what is the intention or what does the person wants, is a difficult part to do. Now the problem is the number of ways the people gesture at you is very large. So it is difficult to collect enough data from millions of people gesturing at you. So let's see another example. We have say 10,000 leveled X-ray, chest X-ray images, and we want to diagnose pneumonia from all those images. If we are having many data, then we can the AI application can perform well in that case. And but something that AI cannot do is diagnose pneumonia from 10 images from a medical textbook chapter explaining pneumonia. So here are some strength and weakness of like machine learning. Machine learning tends to work well using learning a simple concept. Suppose if you are trying to learn a simple concept such that something that you could do less than a second of mental thought, then suppose there is a lot of data, that is if we have lot of data available with us, then machine learning will tend to work like well in that case. Now the machine learning tends to work poorly when you are trying to learn a simple concept or complex concept from a small amount of data. Second underappreciated weakness is AI. It tends to do or work poorly when the machine performs on new type of data that is different than the data that it had seen before or in your data set. Now let me explain with an example. Say we are building a supervised learning system that uses A to B mapping, then we have this to learn to diagnose pneumonia from images like this. In the left hand side, we have this pretty high quality chest x-rays, but say we apply this AI system at different hospital or a different medical center where like might be the x-ray technician somehow change the patient's orientation, or sometimes there is a defect like sketches and all. So in the on the right hand side, the images are the defective images. The performance of the application or system would be quite poor in that case. So from this we can say that today's AI is much weaker than human, although human have the perception and like they can they have the intelligence to determine whether those images are of pneumonia patient or not. Let's see something related to deep learning and neural network, as modern AI uses these two concepts to find or to like make their own system. Let's say the term deep learning and neural network are used interchangeably in this AI, even though they are great for machine learning, but there are some hypes and mystique about them. So let's demystify it. Let's say with an example, we have a demand prediction. We have a website that sells t-shirt, and we want to know based on how we price the t-shirt and how many units we expect to sell is given by this demand versus price, this graph. So we might end up creating a data set where the higher the price of the t-shirt and then and lower the demand. So you can see the data set corresponding to that. So we can put a straight line such that the price goes, if the price goes up, the demand falls down. Now the demand will never go beyond zero, so it might be like this: the curve might flatten even to zero. This blue line uh, may be specified as the simplest possible neural network. Let's say we have A to B input mapping, input output mapping. Say if we want to put something in between A to B, this is nothing but a neuron which predicts the price according, which predicts the demand according to certain price or input price. All it does is it computes the blue line. The neuron actually computes the blue line that is drawn over there. Now coming to a more complex example, we have this demand prediction based on this price, shipping cost, marketing, and material. Let's say we as a consumer, we will see if we are like we can afford the price or not, which can be seen if we input the price and shipping cost together, we can find out what is the affordability of the customer. Let's say if we have, suppose there is a if we have developed or made a new collection, a new collection is to be arrived at the market, so we can create awareness using marketing. So let's say we have a neuron from marketing which creates awareness. Now let's say we want to also the customer will buy the item based on the perceived quality of the material. So let's say the price, marketing, and material, if we input in a neuron, we get the perceived quality. And based on this affordability, awareness, and perceived quality, we if we input all the things together in certain like neuron, then we can find the demand. What is the demand of those t-shirt or those products at my store?
इस पे 23
Now,
हाँ बाद में करेंगे
see that
लंच ब्रेक कर लो
we
आराम
have A to B mapping which uses neural network. Now let's see certain deep learning concept. Uh, let us say we have a face recognition algorithm. Now let's consider a part of the image, say the eye. All the computer sees is a grid of pixel brightness values that tells us like for each value of the pixel in the image, how much, how bright is the image, and if it were black or white or a grayscale image, then each pixel would represent certain values. Like if it were a black and white image or grayscale image, then it will represent a single value. How bright is that image? Now, if it is a colored image, then each pixel would actually represent three numbers corresponding to the value or to how bright are the red, green, and blue elements of the pixel. So now the neural network's job is to input a lot of numbers like this and then tell you the name of the person in the picture. In the last example, the neural network takes four numbers corresponding to the price, shipping cost, material, and marketing amount and outputs the demand. Now, here the neural network has input a lot more numbers. Suppose those pixel values are inputted as are the inputs of the neural network. Then we can say that all those pixel brightness values of the pictures are input to the neural network. So if the resolution is 1000 by 1000, then we have a million pixels that are to be input to the system. So if it were black and white image or a grayscale image, the neural network will take input as a million numbers corresponding to the brightness of all the pixels, all 1 million pixels in that image. or if it were a colored image, then it would take in as input 3 million numbers of RGB values of each of these 1 million pixels in this image. Now the neural network will compute by itself, or the neural network will try to detect parts of the object, or it will try to detect edges, and then it will detect shapes and faces, and will finally put all this together to output the identity of the person in the image. The parts of the image or corner detection is, say, we have done in the first part of the neural network, or the input. After inputting the like pixel values, we are getting the output of the first neural network, this column. We get the edges and corners of the image, and then the second neuron, if we see, the output is, say, the characteristics, whether this is an eye or nose or like that. And third neuron will output certain faces, and the last neuron will output whose face is that. Now we have this trending AI topics of 2020. We know that like to perform some certain complex mathematical operation, our general purpose computers cannot be used. So there we need some extra hardware to perform or to compute such complex mathematical operation. So AI enabled chips will make sure like in that the task requiring AI, such as face recognition, NLP, or etc., is much faster. So AI enabled chips are like we have from NVIDIA, Intel, all those. They make their whole hardware circuitry for those AI operations. Say we want to recognize face at certain higher FPS, so we can use AI enabled chips in that case. Now we have in the second case, we have these IoT devices. Nowadays there are billions of IoT devices, as mentioned by other speaker also. Like we can see that IoT devices creates a lot of data. Data need to be processed or mined. So for that we need certain applications which can automatically fetch those data and process it and give us some useful representation. So in that case, we see an example, like we have an weather forecasting device, like we have a total weather station, computing what is the weather of a certain region. Or we have solar panel based dustbin, or etc. Now it can be also seen that AI can be used to manage and monitor issues in the cloud computing system. Some experts also predict that AI can be used to automate the basic workflow of both these private and public cloud computing systems. Or in simple words, AI is used to manage those cloud services more efficiently than manually. Like as discussed earlier also, we have this traditional machine learning problem that traditional machine learning performs poor over a huge data set. So AI's role is to enhance those performance. We can see this, we can automate those machine learning algorithm using AI. So I talked about this cloud computing system. So we can have this like Amazon Web Service, or like Google or IBM or Alibaba or Oracle. They are providing us some cloud computing platforms where we can apply artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithm, etc. So lastly, we have this AI in cybersecurity. The addition of AI to cybersecurity can improve the analysis, understanding, and like prevention of cyber crimes. So I have a own device of I have made my own device. So I'd like to show you one of my device. This is a product Lucy. This is based on AI. Wait a second. Let me share it. Also, this is an Internet of Things device. I think the voice is not audible, right? Sir, is the voice audible?
No, sir. No, sir. Voice is not audible, just only visible. Your voice is audible, but not the system sound.
Yeah. Let me see if I can make it audible. Is it audible right now? So this
Yeah,
is a
somewhat. Please play something. Then we would be able to understand whether this voice is coming from here or somewhere else.
Hey, Prithvi, I'm Lucy, your personal assistant. So how can I help you? Lucy.
Yeah, it is audible. Yeah, exactly, it is audible. You can restart it live. Exactly, it is audible. Please replay this one.
Lucy, how are you?
okay. So this is a tool made by me, for the for experiencing AI sort of stuff. So we can have the feel of IoT and AI together. Like I have built my own like a chatbot. Also, I have used a image recognition algorithm over there, such that if I enter through my door, the device will start interacting me if it sees me, only me. So this is a great device made by me, and this is based on Alexa or like that stuff.
So this is me. Hey, Prithvi, I'm Lucy, your personal assistant. So how can I help you? Lucy. Yes, dear, I'm here for you. Lucy, how are you? What is the date today? Today is Thursday, 14 June. What is the time right now? The time is 10:11 p.m.
The device can also it can use its algorithm to certain thing, like it can order pizza of its own. It will ask me whether to add any toppings or not. Here the basic principle is that I have used this natural language processing. Also, along with that, I have used some of the I have trained the system with image data such that it can recognize me. Also, I have trained the system with certain keywords, so that suppose I speak some keyword, it should recognize that keyword and trigger certain action based on that.
On everything.
So it also performs a certain task or job like IoT application. We can have this, we can control the devices accordingly.
Turn off the cooler. Turn off the cooler. Yes, sir. Turning off the cooler.
So
Turn off
basically
the AC.
it can control any appliances, or you can see over here like I'm fast forwarding the whole
I'm
thing.
Lucy, your personal assistant. How can I help you?
It can predict the weather.
Search for Taj Mahal.
basically it searches for every keyword in Wikipedia.
According to Wikipedia, the Taj Mahal, meaning crown of the palace, is an ivory white marble mausoleum on the south bank of the Yamuna River in the Indian city of Agra.
Search for Python programming language.
According to Wikipedia, Python is an interpreted high-level programming language for general-purpose programming.
Play in YouTube Raghav Chaitanya songs.
So it can trigger YouTube, Savan, Ghana, anything. Like it is a replica of a device that has been made by a researcher in MIT Media Labs.
Sure.
Stop the music.
Sure.
Me a joke.
Why did the banker switch careers? Do you know why? Because she lost interest.
I am frustrated.
Oh no, how can I help you?
So I am now thinking of like expanding the whole device into certain thing like I can be using it for medical purpose also. Like I want to assess myself at home. Suppose I want to monitor my heartbeat, or like I want to see whether the machine wants to suggest me some medicines for if I have a fever, or like if I would like to consult doctor or not. All those things I want to integrate it within 6 months. Say as in 6 months I'll make the whole device like much more efficient enough that it can be sold or it can be manufactured in the like market.
What is the weather in Jorhat?
The weather in Jorhat is mist.
What is the weather in Shillong?
The weather in Shillong is mist.
Play my favorite song.
Yes, so here's your favorite song.
So this is a device that I am inspired from, and I made my device of my own. So this is an alter ego made by Indian who is working at this MIT Media Labs.
(10:43 a.m.) Total $10.07.
So this was the device made by Arnav Kapoor. So basically he made a device which can be used without saying anything or without speaking anything. So now I am making this sensor for making such device. I just want to make this replica of the device, or whole the system will be built on the top of this Raspberry Pi, and I think I'll be able to make the device. Now I'm working on this device, and the rest, the 50% part has been made by me before also. So I would like to enhance the capability. Yeah, there is someone asked me this. There is something like Pranav Mistry in the 6th Sense technology. Yes, Pranav Mistry also worked on this, and now he is the vice president of this Samsung research and development. So this is what Pranav Mistry has made the futuristic element. So it will be the future of the humans, or this today's world, after say 5 or 6 years later, as Pranav Mistry has developed the smartwatch, or the Galaxy Gear of his own. So he actually worked on the augmented reality, and also together with certain things which can make it which can connect this digital and physical world together. So there are certain devices like Matrix. We have this Matrix device, and this also inspires me to do certain things. It does image recognition. Also it does
Introducing the Matrix.
You can see
Powerful. And
it is an IoT device, but it is AI enabled.
Sensors in one little device. An amazing platform to build endless IoT applications.
First you had the internet, then you had more tolerant that allows to create product really easily configurable.
Which is a message, just the functionality completely of the Matrix. You can put it in a package facility. It will identify objects in a assembly line. It's basically doing the job of what a human could do, but it's doing billions of calculations a second, and it's a computer.
The design had to be iconic and meaningful.
So basically, today's world has grown in such a way that they are exponentially developing this whole things in a certain manner that is much more futuristic. We had not thought about all those things say last 5 or 10 years ago, that this can be the possible thing. But like self-driving car, MIT Media Labs or Harvard University has developed their own at first in 90s, and then now they are trying to commercialize it using this Tesla Motors and all. The Google Maps and all those things came from this those Harvard University and all those things. So with this, I would like to conclude my topic. And any questions, any queries, you can put it to me. Am I audible?
Yeah, exactly. You're audible, absolutely audible. Yeah, I even request to the participants, if somebody has any sort of queries working in those areas like AI related, machine learning or the deep learning, right now have a great platform to ask your questions. So we are open for next 5 to 10 minutes. If you wish to have certain query, you're working on some sort of the project and looking for some more insight about the AI artificial intelligence, so you may ask the question. So please, one by one, make your mic on and ask the question. We are waiting for next.
Hello, this is Mukund Lal speaking, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
I am asking this question to the speaker. It's a general question, rather. How can we use this three-dimensional augmented reality in for education purposes, like in classrooms, because we don't have like we have to show them a concept. So these days we are all trying to make some animations and try to show them. But is there any possibility that we can make just say you see all these Marvel pictures wherein they three-dimensionally they construct a building, and is it possible to educate students in that way in a classroom?
See, first of all, this 3D images or 3D, if you want to make something 3D augmented reality, you need certain things like we need virtual reality box or like the VR box for that. Or like we can use it because I didn't work in augmented reality. I'm planning to work in the near future. So although this can be like done, this is possible because some of the IITians or some of my batchmates also made certain devices like they can play table tennis or like that games using AR. So it is possible. Certain speakers will sit in somewhere, and he will be covered by different cameras, the 360-degree cameras, so that it can be like used for 3D view. And using VR, it can be done. It is possible. So the thing is that we need proper setup of cameras in a room, and also the light conditions should be good enough, and there should be some image processing like computer vision algorithms to convert those things together and provide it us to, or it can stream it using that thing in our augmented reality box or like that in our phone or whatever it is. It is possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone, sir?
Yeah. Thank you for just giving the answer. Please, I request be quickly if you have any questions. So this is really the good platform. You may ask, please, but be quickly so that we can finally decide whether to go for the further processing or to just stay here. Please. I just gotten one question in the chat box. I'm asking this for Mr. Bijesh asked this question. So where it is basically the neural networks are used in which type of projects? Like what kind of a projects may be there in which we can incorporate the neural network schemes?
Yeah. Basically, neural networks are a tool to help you to predict the things that are done by machine learning also. Basically, machine learning, just like I told you before also, in supervised learning we predict something based on something, like we have some certain input to output mapping. So basically neural network will give us a certain prediction based on certain, if we want to feedback the whole thing together in certain different layers, such that so as to make the accuracy to a greater extent, or or increase the performance to a greater level. So basically neural networks can be applied in every sort of projects. Even if you want to make some certain applications in IoT also, we can use neural network in that case to provide much more to increase the efficiency of the tool to a certain greater level. Basically, if we want to classify something in based on certain things, then we can use neural networks. Or if you want to output the or evaluate the value, suppose I want to output it XOR, or what is the truth table of an XOR, that can be done using neural network also. So neural network is a powerful tool. So next question is, what is the difference between deep learning and data science? So data science is a subpart of this deep learning. Also, data science is a huge topic that can be seen as, suppose in deep learning we have certain things like natural language processing, knowledge perception, and also we have this computer vision thing. So basically deep learning, the data part that we are going to deal with is basically dealt by this data science, or you can say the big data. And the big data concept is a part of deep data science, or that we do using Hadoop or like that, or R programming or whatever it is. So we can find, or we can make a data lake huge where there is a huge data set, or some petabyte of data is there, and we want to process all those things. We can use those like data science related thing. And in deep learning, we are only dealing with certain things that are basically we want to perceive those things, or basically we want to represent using knowledge, like natural language processing. So next question is, how supervised learning is different from unsupervised learning? See, in supervised learning, we have some leveled images, or leveled, like I have certain things. Let me show you, then that will be clear much more. Like I can show you using graphically. Let me see. Artificial intelligence introduction. So see, we have certain images, and we are having levels on it, where we can distinguish it using certain thing. We can distinguish it. But in an unsupervised learning, if you see here, all the levels are same. Suppose you have like you have 10 identical bottles, or say we have 10 dogs, all of them look similar, but we have to find certain pattern in them so as to distinguish one from each other. Yeah, so this is what we like, this is what the major role comes in distinguishing this supervised learning and unsupervised learning from one another. We have to find some pattern in that. So next question is, what is the difference between AI, ML, and DL? DL is what? Can you?
Deep learning. Deep learning. It's a deep learning.
Okay, deep
DL.
learning. Okay. Okay. So there is nothing difference. And see, deep learning is a subset of this machine learning only. The machine learning, the whole part of the machine. Someone says that deep learning is a different thing than machine learning. The machine learning deals with all such algorithms. Deep learning deals with certain like vast capability, or the capability of like only computer vision thing, or like natural language processing thing. Then it is like, it is possible for someone to determine whether uh, in a specific area of interest or domain of interest, the deep learning will come with only computer vision algorithms, or some that will deal with only images or video sequences. Also, it can be used for this natural language processing. But in machine learning, we had to go into the basics, basically how those things are built, how we classify using some algorithm, how those algorithm works. So machine learning is the basic concepts or mathematical tool from which we can derive some algorithms, and those algorithms can be used in computer vision or natural language processing. And AI is the implementation of all those tools, of all those machine learning tools and deep learning tools. Okay, so what is clustering? Yeah, basically in unsupervised learning, we make cohesive group or clusters, and that's all. So how do we remove noise in natural language processing? See, we can remove noise using different functions provided there. Basically, using those things. See, you can use neural network in that case. I have used neural network, so I didn't remove any noise, and there are a lot of like errors, because I have you might have seen in the video also, there are certain keywords that are, so I cut the video and I have shown you, because there are certain keywords. It is not like I don't have that much huge data set like Google or Amazon. So there will be lot of like data problems. But the fact is that if we can use those huge data set, then we can make the performance like a bit like stronger than before. And then we have this how this is there any basic difference between AI and machine learning? Yeah, AI is the implementation of machine learning. Actually, the application that we make is the what we call is an AI application. See, all are similar to, suppose if you want to like filter out those images or emails, whether those emails are spam or not, we are basically using those classifiers. So it is what the implementation of machine learning tool only. But the traditional machine learning performs quite like poor, because those data set is not that much good enough. But using those deep learning concepts and neural network concepts, because those things are trending now and those things are new thing, supervised learning doesn't work well in that case. So you use those deep learning and neural network concepts to make the AI application far better than what is expected in using traditional machine learning tool. Any questions? Any more questions?
Yes, please. Any question from any participant? Well, it's so nice. Ultimately, yeah, definitely. Thank you. So thank you very much. It's definitely a very nice session, and we have a great interactive session. There's one more question I wish to ask from the behalf of my all the participants, those are still not working in the section of this AI, machine learning, or the deep learnings. So can you suggest which is the best tool, which is the best ID where they can start working for the programming, for just creating the machine learnings and something like that?
See, I suggest you first start from basic deep learning concepts, because deep learning are much more like application specific. If you see the machine learning thing, then you have those gradient descent and all those things, all those algorithms, you have to learn it, all those are quite boring. But for a implementation purpose, if you want to see, then you can directly start with NumPy, then going for this computer vision algorithms like I am making this self-driving car, all those things. If you go through that, then it will be far much better, and then directly apply the whole thing using like neural network. The computer vision part is over, that as I have shown you before, that after detecting the whole thing, then we can use or we can use the perceived like image pixels, and we can input all those pixels into certain say neurons, and the output will be given by that neural network, whether the what is the position of the cars based on that. So like that, we can use directly deep learning concepts directly. We can straight ahead go and start with deep learning. First of all, we have to need to learn these Python concepts, then we can go for NumPy and so on. So I have a like I had made because I am teaching AI in the like for him, for that like student, I made a syllabus for that. It can be seen wait a second, let me show you. So this is what content I am teaching him. Basically, first introduction, then installation, then Python basics, then machine learning concepts, some of the machine learning tools he should know, then NumPy, then computer vision, then what are perceptrons, basically neural network part. Then there is a tool named Keras, also used for mathematical computation. Then we can have this deep neural networks concepts, and then we have this multi-class classification. Then we can see using MNIST handwritten image recognition tool, image recognition data set, how images are recognized and all those things we can see. Then we have this convolution and neural network, and after that we have this polygon regression, polynomial regression, and then lastly we have behavioral cloud. So these are certain projects that certain content that I provide to my student for this second, yeah, for teaching AI from the basics. So This is what I mean actually. From there we can start easily. You can go ahead, and the basic any platform, any operating system can be used. I recommend you use Linux. Basically the Ubuntu is better because the repositories are present over there. You can debug the system if there is some certain problem. Also you can start with if someone starts wants to start with basic machine learning thing or like AI thing, you can see this website also. That guy is a researcher in he completed his PhD from MIT Media Labs. This website is very good. Sandex. The researcher's name is Sandex. So he had made all those things like self-driving car using in Python with Carla, then how to work with this Python TensorFlow Keras, then how to work with this MNIST data set. Also, he has done with his this. Let me show you. Yeah, quantum computing and all, because quantum computing nowadays some of you might know and some of you might not know also. So it is like he is a like quantum computers are capable of computing the states are in transitional state, like zeros and ones will be shown at a certain instant of time only, unlike the conventional computers which shows either 0 or 1 at a particular instant of time. So these are certain things that this website can be used for, like for basics you can use for here, and like after that if you complete the basics you can go ahead with yourself only.
Well,
So
so
any more
nice.
questions?
Really, no, it's really so nice. Definitely. So they are definitely from your side, a suggestion. They start working on the Python, any of the open resource platform, and start working on the deep learning section first. It's like that.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful to you, definitely giving us such a valuable session for us, and definitely it is an eye-opening session for all of us, so that those are not working and those are working specifically, they can have a better research or R&Ds like in that area, and those did not start, they may start like now, because definitely the near future will be just coming where just only the fingers will be working and while we'll be working with the help of the fingers, definitely we have to connect with the AIs and all the IoTs like that. So it's a wonderful session. So now I wish to hand over this session to Mr. Anirudh. Yeah, please. Yeah, one more thing is here. Can you show your like yeah? Can I ask you to show you something contacts, so that if somebody is working and finding some sort of the difficulty, Mr. Prithvish, so they can contact you through your email ID and something. Your website is there, like so that will be helpful for them.
Like my Shan Prithvish. This is my email ID. I'm writing in a notebook.
Yeah. So I request to the participant, please just take a screenshot of this one or just note it down. You all may note it down, this
Also,
email ID and your... Yeah, please.
Also, someone wishes to work with OpenAI, they can work there also. They thus contribute a lot towards open source platform, and they can if they wish to join the product company, they will. This is the platform OpenAI. If someone wants to there, thank you.
I request to system organizer, please just yeah. I request to system organizer, please take care about Mr. Prempal. He was just having a mic on. So well, it's definitely helpful for us. I'm just giving this session to Mr. Anirudh. So please just go for the section and just close the ceremony, please.
Thank you so much, sir. The session was really wonderful. I would like to thank Prithvish Sensors for the amazing session. The session, I believe, was very informative. The questions that were asked showed that how interested was the audience in the session. Also, the video that she showed was amazing. And I would like to ask all the attendees once. Can you please describe me in just 1 or 2 words how the session was? आप लोगों का सेशन कैसा लगा? एक बार बता सकते हैं आप लोग चैट बॉक्स में, just in 1 or 2 words. Amazing session. Excellent. Wonderful. Awesome. Beneficiary. Outstanding. Very informative. Once again, wonderful. Excellent. Awesome. That means आप सबका feedback बहुत ही positive है. Which means कि जो हमारा aim था कि आपके ये कुछ घंटे productive रहे, informative रहे, आप लोग कुछ अच्छा सीखे, नया सीखे, वो हमने achieve किया. That's great. So I would like to thank all the attendees who were in the session. But before that, I will wholeheartedly thank all the dignitaries of the college, तीर्थंकर महावीर यूनिवर्सिटी, जिन्होंने सेशन को ज्वाइन किया और हमें ग्रेस किया अपनी प्रेजेंस से. Also, thank you to the speaker of the day, Mr. Prithvish Sen, जिन्होंने बहुत informative session deliver किया. Also, thank you to the convener of the session, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Goswami, जिनकी वजह से ये session organize हो पाया. You all know tomorrow is the second day of the session, where the speaker, Engineer Vinay Agarwal, who is an alumni of 1988 batch of Institute of Engineering Technology, Lucknow, will be delivering a session from 11 a.m. onwards. He will be showering you with his experience and knowledge. And आज की तरह कल का session भी बहुत informative होने वाला है. So please join us today. Also tomorrow I'll be telling everyone how they will be getting their certificates of the 2-day webinar. So with this, thank you once again to everyone, क्योंकि because आप सब लोग जुड़े थे हमारे साथ. It was because of all of you that the session was successful today and we could organize it. Also, thank you to the SoftPro team for organizing the session for everyone. With this, now I would like to
thank you very much, Mr. Anirudh. Definitely you organized the session so nicely. You are saying thanks to everybody, but it's my time to say thanks to you because you coordinated everything, you linked everything actually so well. So I'm thankful for you as well as all the participants. I request to please come tomorrow and we just have a great session as Mr. Anirudh told to us. So tomorrow we are going to have more surprises related with the IoTs. Please, Mr. Anirudh.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, with this, I would like to end today's session with the hope to see you all tomorrow. And take care, everyone. Stay safe. Thank you all.